Another movie based on a Stephen King novel. The question is though, is this movie up there with one of the best? Let's find out. What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Stephen King book series, which is adapted now into a film as well as a TV series. And that movie is The Dark Tower, directed by Nicola Arcel, starring Idris Elba, Tom Taylor, and Matthew McConaughey. In this movie, a boy named Jake, Tom Taylor, is having nightmares every night in a dream fantasy world involving the Dark Tower, which is this big tower that holds together two worlds, the real world and the fantasy world. In the fantasy world, you have a gunslinger named Roland, played by Idris Elba, who's in a war against the Man in Black, played by Matthew McConaughey, and these two are in battle. Jake comes across the gunslinger and they work together to try to take out the Man in Black before he takes down the tower and causes all evil. Now, I kind of didn't know what to think going into The Dark Tower. I have not read this book series, so I didn't know what I was going to get myself into. But just based on the fact that this is a Stephen King book series being adapted into a film had me very excited, because some of my favorite movies of all time are Stephen King movie adaptations like The Shawshank Redemption, as well as Stand By Me, such classic films. And so going into this movie, I had the slightest ounce of hope. First off, I just want to say The Dark Tower has been getting a lot of criticism. This movie has about an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I was kind of confused by, because I didn't think this movie was that bad. I found some enjoyment in The Dark Tower. Yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but I think it's a well-made, crafted film, very beautiful to look at. But yeah, I did not think this movie is an abomination based on the critics' perspective. But let's start with the positives of The Dark Tower. I gotta say, the two main performances from the young boy Tom Taylor and Idris Elba were the best by far. Especially Tom Taylor. He gave a great breakthrough performance, especially given some great emotion and intense scenes, and I was really invested into some of his scenes. And Idris Elba as the gunslinger Roland. I thought he was really good. He's fantastic in the action sequences, especially shooting the gun from far distances. And Idris Elba is a very charismatic and badass man. I would say the first act and the second act of this movie were the most interesting, and then I'll get into the third act and the negatives. But the first two acts really did have some enjoyment in it, especially getting to know the young boy and the gunslinger, seeing their chemistry together. And they do have some fun humor together, especially towards the third act, where it's kind of a fish out of water story, where the young boy is teaching, Idris Elba stuff. Kind of reminded me of the Terminator T2. Seeing that relationship with Arnold and the young boy, I really like that aspect. Also, the action sequences were really cool too, especially seeing all the flashbacks with the gunslinger facing against the Man in Black and him shooting the guns. Like I said, the gun sequences with Idris Elba were definitely the best scenes by far in this film. Other than that, that's all I really liked about The Dark Tower. Now let's go straight to the negatives. My first issue I had with this movie was with the villain, the Man in Black, played by Matthew McConaughey. I kind of found his character kind of cliche and a little underdeveloped. Like, he's kind of like a Marvel villain, kind of. Like, he does some badass stuff, but he has no development to him. You don't know his motivations and what he's trying to do and why he's evil. He's just a cliche evil guy who kills people by walking right up to him and telling them to die. Also, the runtime I found a negative. And usually I don't like long movies that are boring, but this movie, the runtime's only 95 minutes. I felt it was way too short. It didn't give too much time developing the story and the characters. And that's the result we got. I wish the runtime was a little bit longer, and so we can develop these characters and get to know this world a little more. Also, I felt the third act was really weak. Like, it collapsed within itself, kind of. I found it kind of like a cartoon show and a TV series, not for a movie. And yeah, the final battle sequence was really had poor CG and I couldn't get myself invested in the third act. This movie is, I think it's gonna offend the big time fans of the book series. Like, apparently what I've been hearing, this movie is absolutely nothing like the books. So if you've read the Dark Tower books, I will say that you're not gonna like this movie. But if you're like me, who's never read the books, I think you'll kind of feel the way I'm feeling. You'll think it's decent. In the end, guys, the Dark Tower did have some potential, but in the end, it kind of collapsed within itself, and it could have been so much better than what it was, but it's definitely not a terrible movie. It's no Transformers The Last Knight. I did have some entertainment to it. Idris Elba, Tom Taylor were cool. I wish Matthew McConaughey was a little developed more, but in the end, if you're a fan of this series, just go in with scared expectations. On my rating scale, I'm going to give The Dark Tower a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I think it's just under average. I think that's a decent grade. Alright guys, that was my review for The Dark Tower. Have you guys seen it yet? Did you love it, think it was okay, or did you absolutely hate it? Let me know down below. Thank you guys as always for watching this review, and if you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe today for more content. All my social media links are in the description down below. Be sure to click that notification bell on your way out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!